Chapter 1. 4 burning candles. In a room there were 4 candles burning. The ambience was so soft you could hear them talking. The first one said, "I am peace, however nobody can keep me lit. I believe I will go out." Its flame rapidly diminishes, and goes out completely. The second one says, "I am faith. Most of all, I am no longer indispensable. So it does not make any sense that I stay lit any longer." When it finished talking, a breeze softly blew on it, putting it out. Sadly, the third candle spoke in its turn. "I am love. I have not gotten the strength to stay lit. People put me aside and don't understand my importance. They even forget to love those who are nearest to them. And waiting no longer, it goes out." Suddenly, a child entered the room and saw 3 candles not burning. "Why are you not burning? You are supposed to stay lit till the end." Saying this, the child began to cry. Then the 4th candle said, "Don't be afraid. While I am still burning, we can relight the other candles. I am hope." With shining eyes, the child took the candle of hope and lit the other candles. The flame of hope should never go out from our life, and that each of us can maintain hope, faith, peace and love. Hope never abandons you. You abandon hope. Consult not your fears, but your hopes and your dreams. Think not about your frustrations, but about your unfulfilled potential. Concern yourself not with what you tried and failed in, but with what it is still possible for you to do. Chapter 2. Coffee on the Wall. I sat with my friend in a well-known coffee shop in a neighboring town of Venice, Italy, the city of lights and water. As we enjoyed our coffee, a man entered and sat at an empty table beside us. He called the waiter and placed his order, saying, 2 cups of coffee, one of them there on the wall. We heard this order with rather interest and observed that he was served with 1 cup of coffee, but he paid for 2. When he left, the waiter put a piece of paper on the wall saying, "A cup of coffee." While we were still there, 2 other men entered and ordered 3 cups of coffee, 2 on the table and 1 on the wall. They had 2 cups of coffee, but paid for 3 and left. This time also, the waiter did the same. He put a piece of paper on the wall saying, "A cup of coffee." It was something unique and perplexing for us. We finished our coffee, paid the bill and left. After a few days, we had a chance to go to this coffee shop again. While we were enjoyed our coffee, a man poorly dressed entered. As he seated himself, he looked at the wall and said, "1 cup of coffee from the wall." The waiter served coffee to this man, with the customary respect and dignity. The man had his coffee and left without paying. We were amazed to watch all this, as the waiter took a piece of paper from the wall and threw it in the trash bin. Now it was no surprise for us, the matter was very clear. The great respect for the needy shown by the inhabitants of this town made our eyes well up in tears. Ponder upon the need of what this man wanted. He enters the coffee shop, without having to lower his self-esteem. He has no need to ask for a free cup of coffee. Without asking or knowing about the one who is giving this cup of coffee to him, he only looked at the wall. Placed an order for himself, enjoyed his coffee and left. A truly beautiful thought. Probably the most beautiful wall you may ever see anywhere. Chapter 3. The Unprofessional Doctor. James Anderson was extremely worried. His son, Aditya, had to be operated upon that day. It was a critical operation. His son meant the world to him, and although he tried to comfort Aditya, who was petrified, he himself was quite agitated. The nurse had readied Aditya, but the doctor had not arrived yet. "Why hasn't the doctor come yet?" complained James Anderson to the nurse. "He'll be here in a short while," she answered. "Isn't he aware that my son must be operated upon immediately? My son is scared to death." "How long must he wait for the dreaded operation to start?" shouted James Anderson. "We'll begin as soon as the doctor is here," said the nurse. About 15 minutes later, the doctor arrived rushing to get ready for the operation. "About time you came in, doctor. My son has been waiting for so long, and is scared out of his wits," said James Anderson sarcastically. The doctor said nothing. "I hope my son is going to be okay. You must do your best, doctor." "I will do my best, Mr. James Anderson. The rest is in God's hands," said the doctor. "It's my child at stake, doctor. Please don't pass on the responsibility to God." "You must do your best," said James Anderson. The doctor nodded patiently. "It's so easy for him to be calm. It's not his child," muttered James Anderson under his breath. Once the operation was over, James Anderson was relieved. He looked around for him to thank him, but again, he was nowhere to be found. He asked the nurse. She told him that he had already left. James Anderson was enraged. "Why didn't he even stop to speak to me after the operation? How unprofessional of him." The nurse looked at him and said, "He came because the operation was urgent. He has just lost his son. He was making arrangements for his last rites." What is the moral of this story? Answer: it is easy to blame someone, because they don't act as per our expectations. Like James Anderson blamed the doctor. But if we think about it, we shall understand that everybody has their own difficulties, which may be much more serious than ours. The doctor had put aside his personal grief, and come to do his duty. But James Anderson, in his anxiety, hadn't been able to think that the doctor too may have been late due to some problem.